Well, what happens next is the governor continues to get these phone calls and emails, and she has to make a decision. Does she, stand up and say that, reevaluate this and decide that this thing can be moved or taken out of the Capitol, or does she leave it there? She has the advice, like I said, of the Attorney General, Rob McKenna, who happens to be a Republican, that this has to be on so-called equal footing. In other words, you have one religious display and you have another message that has a counter message. You have to, give it equal space, showing no preference for one over the other. It's a stretch, though, to believe that this sign is some sort of a religious display. It's not a religion, and it's not a symbol of a religion. It is simply a message attacking people who have religion.
All right, Dan Springer joining us right now in Seattle with the story. Thanks a lot, Dan. We sure appreciate it.
Okay.
Kevin here is going to try to pull up a picture as Dan was telling us the story. You like to see what this thing looks like. Yeah. And so it's a big placard that's there in the Capitol. As he mentioned, George Washington is in the middle, and on the other side is a nativity scene. And you can see the placard off to the left, and then on the right, the nativity scene. And apparently some people have tried to flip it around, and they have a message on the back side of it, too, so you can't just flip it around. Peter, we talked about this before, and I hope you don't mind me putting you on the spot, because you've publicly told us, you're an atheist, but how do you feel about something like this? It seems to be sticking a finger in the eye of people who are faithful. Why do something like this?
Well, I think, you could make the argument that the nativity scene is sticking an eye in the face of, sticking a finger in the eye of people who are not only atheists, but people who don't believe in Christianity. I mean, I would say, I can't reread what the image was too small to reread what was on that statement, but as far as I'm concerned, every word on that placard is indisputably true. I mean, there are no gods, there are no angels. There's just the natural world. I mean, that's what I believe, and I realize that a lot of people watching may not agree with that. But to say that it's not attacking a religion as much as saying it's providing a point of view that's equally valid. I'm not going to say that my point of view that there are no angels and all that is more valid than somebody else who believes in the nativity scene, or for that matter, a Muslim or a Jew who doesn't believe in Jesus either, or doesn't believe in his divinity.
Yeah, but that sign does. Yeah. It says religion is a myth.
Yeah. Well, religion, that's not an attack. I like myths. I think that myths can be...
Come on.
Mythology has been a very constructive factor in our society. I mean, I applaud the humanity that has an aching desire to believe in patterns and to search for meaning where there may not actually be any meaning.
So you disagree with the sign?
Well, I think the sign deserves to be there. I do agree. I personally agree with the sign. I don't believe that other people need to agree with it or to take it as an attack. But the point is, if there's a nativity scene, and I don't know what was in the third compartment there.
It looked like a statue of Washington.
It was a statue of George Washington.
Well, that's pretty secular. But I would say this: if you have two displays that relate to religion, one is here's the nativity scene and it's beautiful. It's the baby Jesus in the manger, which some people believe in, and it has a lot of meaning to people. That sign has just as much meaning to me. Now, I don't live in Washington State, but say if I did, and I know there are a lot of good atheists in Washington.
Would you walk up to that sign and say, "Oh, that's so sweet"?
You know what I would say?
That sign
I wouldn't say. I have a different point of view. I don't believe in attacking other people's point of view, and certainly not their faith.
But that's what it sounds like they're doing.
Well, here's what I would say.
What Dan Springer wrote to us, I mean, it sounds like it's just really out there trying to offend people who are of faith.
But yeah, I mean, if the sign said something like, we believe in Gaia, or we believe in whatever, but it doesn't. It attacks.
We're in the natural world.
We're in the natural world.
Yeah, I believe in the natural world. I don't believe in Gaia. I don't believe in.
Well, but whatever it is, if I believe in the natural world, I believe there's certain unalienable right. Whatever it is, it's not so much I believe in this, but that sign is I don't believe in that.
Well, here's where I would leave it, and in a sort of.
And then let me just ask, do you exchange Christmas presents?
Well, I'm Jewish.
I mean, or holiday gifts at this time.
Holiday.
Right.
Yes, I believe in the holidays. I believe in the festivity of this period of time, and I enjoy all the displays. I think the tree lighting in Rockefeller Center was wonderful. But we've had I've had this discussion on some of these segments with Father Jonathan, who I love to be on, who I wish was. I guess he's off in Rome.
He's in Rome, yeah.
Hopefully watching us from a distance. I believe that people who don't believe have an equal right to have their point of view validated. And when we talk about giving no preference, I believe in giving no preference. I believe that if you believe in Christ,
but this is clearly not giving no preference. Let me read to you what it says on this sign. It says, "Religion is but a myth. The season of winter solstice." Solstice, thank you. May reason prevail. There are no gods, no devils, no angels, no heaven or hell. There is only our natural world. Religion is but a myth and superstition that hardens hearts and enslaves minds.
I wouldn't have put that. Okay,
rude.
I wouldn't. That does. You know what? I agree. I didn't remember the full quote. I would say this. I don't like the last part of that. I do believe that. I don't believe in imposing your point of view or your beliefs on other people. I don't believe in offending people. I do believe that government should not send out a signal that it's better to have religious faith than not to have religious faith. I don't think that government should be... I would not like to see, frankly, I'm one of those people who does not like to see nativity scenes in the public square. I do believe in freedom from religion and not just freedom of religion. I believe that children have an equal right to grow up without feeling like they're better people if they have faith and that they're worse people if they don't have faith. And I worry that, if we're up to me, our coins would not say, "In God we trust," because I do believe with the first part of that sign that there are no gods, no devils, no heaven, no hell, no angels. There's just the natural world. I mean, that to me is a statement of fact.
Aren't you taking the argument too far and making it into a major clash of principle? Sure, freedom of speech matters. Certainly, everyone is allowed to have his own point of view. But I come back, and I think what's wrong about the scene that I'm looking at from my perspective is not the principle, but the fact that a reasonably neutral scene, a nativity scene at Christmas, another party that is a minority comes in with a view to shocking. And why does that make sense? It doesn't to me. If a minority view wants to be heard, there are 1,000 appropriate ways to do it. But to offend public opinion strikes me as incitement. Why do it?
But let me ask
I agree.
Real
quick with the ambassador, though, Peter, I agree with him. And the difference here is that it's a clear attack. It's not a sign that says, "We are atheists, see our sign." It says, none of this exists. You are wrong. I don't remember the full quote, but I think there's a distinction to make there.
And to that point, here's an email that we got from Mike in Texas. It says, "The nativity scene is not pushing its view; it's only celebrating it. The sign is pushing its view." I don't agree with it. That's
I would say I don't see why we can't just change the channel. Don't look at the sign. I think that we're a little bit oversensitive in our culture today, that we get bombarded with 1 million messages a day from everywhere, and somehow we have to single out. Now maybe that's in a more prominent place, and so therefore it deserves to be focused on. But all the people who have attacked the atheists have done is created a story where there was none.
Right.
When is there ever a story
it hasn't really
about
led
the
to a lot of
nativity
recruits
scene
for
in the
atheism.
Capitol in Washington?
Yeah.
Ignore it and it goes away. It's meaningless.
Yeah.
I have to say those bus ads we talked about a few weeks ago, Heather, were, I think, less offensive. And they used humor, which, from a communications standpoint, I think is better. They said things like, be good for goodness sake. I can't remember some of the others, but they were kind of in that.
There probably is no God.
There probably. I like that. Probably.
Yeah.
It's not definitive. I mean, nobody really knows. And I disagree with one. The reason I don't like the end of what it says on that sign, and I take your point that several of you have made that it's needlessly offensive, is that it says religion hardens people's hearts, and it attacks it in a way that I hadn't realized when I heard the quote first, because I think that somebody who's not religious, I can see a positive role to religion. I think that people who have faith have a certain can get from that a certain grounding and a certain connectedness, and I think that religion does positive things. So I think that the point could be made. Those of us that believe that there is no God and there can make the point in a way that doesn't attack people who do have that belief.